Hello everybody, thank you for coming to the Lyndon Arthur, Braian Suarez press conference at a Friday night's huge fight live on Channel 5. We wanted to introduce some of the undercard fighters on the show. Two of our Wasserman prospects, two red hot prospects as well. Cody Smith to my left directly and Ben Marksby, both undefeated, both looking very good so far in their pro careers. Calla, just give the guys a bit of an introduction and explain why we have signed these two prospects and how excited we are about their careers, and particularly another outing on Friday night.
Start on my left. Ben was very tough on himself in Newcastle recently. Good points win, but he wasn't happy with that. 7-0 now.
Yeah, 7.
Moving fastly forward, flying the flag out of the northeast, and a real character on my right, a Barnsley bomber. Someone who's near and dear to us through Stephen Smith, who's goes back it was in the 90s we promoted him. My dad, that is, and Cody's a very very talented young man, and these two are part of some of the names we've taken on board in the last 6 months. We're not the sort of stable that signs every talent that comes knocking. We're very careful on what we do, and we have a history of bringing fighters through from, the last 40 years of Team Sauer and now Wasserman. So it's not, we sign everyone and see who's good. We look at it very carefully, and these two are certainly going places.
And Ben, let's just come back to you. Callum mentioned it there. A victory, clear points victory in Newcastle in July. But ever the perfectionist, you came out the ring and you weren't happy despite clearly winning the fight comfortably.
Maybe I'm a little bit hard on myself, but I know what I'm capable of, and that's all it boiled down to, really. I knew what I was capable of, and I knew I performed, and that's all it was.
And when you look at the super lightweight division domestically, how far away do you think you are from challenging for those titles? When you look at your rivals and think, I'm close. Is that what you're thinking at the moment?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I think I'm maybe another 3-4 fights away from an English title shot. So maybe give or take 8-10 months.
And what sort of performance are you looking to put on? Because as we said, you were hard on yourself last month in Newcastle when everybody at ringside thought you delivered a good performance. What are you hoping to deliver here in Bolton on Friday?
Just box clever. I'm going to get hit, not be hit.
Lovely. Cody, you also boxed in Newcastle. Another excellent performance, clear points victory. You're craving that knockout though, aren't you? That's what we spoke about afterwards. You're craving somebody to come and have a fight and you can display your power.
Yeah, that's what everyone comes to see. Then that's just true for it. People don't want to see people cut distance. It's an hurt business, and we're all here to see knockouts. We're here to see people entertain, and I think that's what boxing lacks. I think it lacks entertainers. There's very good talent and skillful boxers, but not many can talk. And I think I'm definitely one of them for Yorkshire, 100%. Yorkshire's most famous for its tea, innit, at the end of the day. So I want to be that person who people say, Cody Smith from Yorkshire, that's why Yorkshire's on map, and especially Emsworth, so that's what I'm here to do. I think a knockout on Friday night will start getting me up that ladder, getting me more well known, and sky's the limit for me.
And just remind everybody who didn't see the video, I think we posted on the Wasserman channels back in July. Pound for pound, you believe that you're the hardest puncher other than Lara in the featherweight division?
No, as well as Lara as well. I think I'd beat him as well on my day. I'd beat him on Friday night if Calla sent him, and he'll tell you, so I don't turn no one down, matchmaker.
Got a little surprise for you. We've changed the opponent.
I'll bring him on. I'll fight anyone in here. I'll fight Lyndon if Lyndon needs a new opponent, if his opponent pulls that. Yeah, at the end of the day, I've got to take it one step at a time. I know, obviously, to get up to that top level, there's a lot of work to be done, but sky's the limit, and who's to tell me that I can't be best in here? Everyone will want unknown. Mayweather will want unknown. Pacquiao will want unknown. So Cody Smith's now unknown, but eventually he'll be an household name in British boxing.
Calla, when you've got a fighter like Cody hugely high on confidence, wants everybody and anybody and wants them yesterday. Does that make your job easier?
Yeah, I mean, you know, both of them are oozing confidence, and so they should be. And you know, Ben very hard on himself after his that's what you want to see. You know, it's not a nice job to go into a boxer afterwards and say, look, you screwed up, mate. Because normally it's too late. And Cody, you know, he's a great talker, but we also have seen that he can back it up. He's also done a great job in the amateurs. So I'm looking forward to the journey. Makes me excited, yeah.
Excellent. We're all very excited for both of these Wasserman prospects. So we wanted to introduce two of the star names on the undercard. So everybody, Ben Marksby and Cody Smith.
And by the way, I was joking about Linda. It looks like he's going to kill me over there when I get
He's
up.
rubbing his hands already, I can see him.
So don't batter me, Lyndon, please. Because I need to fight on Friday night.
Thanks, chaps. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
When you're on mic, just check that's working, pal.
Yeah, no. All right, no.
Keep going.
Hear me?
Just make sure we can all hear you.
It's coming through all right? Yeah, it's all right now.
Okay. Colour, live and free to air on Channel 5 on Friday night. Two title fights, two brilliant title fights, one of which is this, the vacant British super welterweight title. Samuel Antwi against Mason Cartwright. Has the potential, Colour, to steal the show. This could be one of the fights of the year.
I mean, we've had it recently, Dylan Nashpak, but there's loads of examples on other promoters' shows, great fights, and this British title, I say it time and time again, it's very special, and that's not just promoter gibberish coming out. It's a belt that means a lot, but it's also so hardly contested by people who normally know each other, and 9 times out of 10, you end up with a British banger. That is promoter talk. You know, if you look at them, you know, it's difficult to pick a winner. You know, Mason's been there before and then had a tough decision against him in a great fight.
Sam, I think I won it.
Yeah, a lot of people did. And you know, Sam's look, he's top pedigree as well, but it's now the question of who goes to that next level, you know, and it's they're far too young to say now that it's all or nothing, you know. I'm not going to try and push the buck out that far, but what I would say is the winner, he goes on and there's big fights out there, and you know, the loser's got to go back to drawing board a bit, and he'll be back as well, but at the same time we're going to see a cracking fight.
And as you say, Callum, both these guys have fought and challenged for British titles before. Sam, come to you first. Does that moment when you missed out on the British title last time, how much extra motivation has that given you, if any more than it already needed, going into Friday night?
Yeah, I mean, I believe that I let that British title slip out of my hands in that fight. You know, I know if it was the same, if that fight was to happen tonight, it would be a completely different outcome. You know, so I believe that I should be coming away with this British Championship, and yeah, I mean, there's no version of the future where I'm not.
When you've looked at Mason and studied his fights with your coaches, what do you see? What do you see that Mason can do that's going to cause you some problems and obstacles to overcome?
I don't do fight studies, but my coaches watch my opponents, and they come up with what we should do going into the fight. You know, so I think I've just got to do what I do best, and that's gonna see me to victory on Friday.
Mason, as Callum alluded to, obviously hugely controversial British title fight last year against Troy Williamson. How much is that fuel in your fire, so to speak, going into Friday night against Sam?
Massive. I've been hungry in the gym ever since. So I've worked my fingers to the bone.
When you look at Sam, what do you see? Strengths, weaknesses? What do you see in front of you on Friday?
Listen, I respect him. He's a good fighter. He's a bit unorthodox. As I said before in one of my interviews, he seemed to have a little bit better shape against Wasserman, but fighters change, so don't look too much into what they've done in the past. I've got a game plan, I know our box, and that's what we're going to execute on Friday.
Sam Calla mentioned about this being an opportunity for one of you two guys to go to the next level, having just fallen short before at British title level. Why do you think you're ready to go to the next level?
I believe I'm at this level, or I can go past this level, and I will go past this level. So here's just putting, dotting all my I's and crossing all the T's in the ring on Friday night, and making sure that I don't leave feeling that I could have done more. And so we're going in there to make a statement for Friday night, and 100% we'll be coming away with it.
Both guys have tasted it at the last minute, being that close. And I know it's controversial, but you'll probably look back at it and say, right, I should have stamped it.
There's
and you'll
more.
think, I won't do that again. And you learn from it. And the great thing about the British title is you don't have that sort of belt in promoted in Germany or Scandinavia or the States. There's no measuring stick. And the British title, when you lose for it, you mustn't go down on yourself, because it's like a measuring stick. Am I ready for that next level? And it's a great belt, and that's why it's not just about putting two fighters in against each other who are of equal skill. It's also that they're equally as motivated. I've seen fights where you've had a guy in a British title fight. One has been much more talented than the other, and it's caused that there was an upset because there was just so much more the other guy wanted it. And it's also that you've got that local feeling. These guys they've sparred directly, or they'll have had sparring partners in who sparred with the other. By the way, how's Liam looking? Just checking. We'll have a little chat in a minute. But joking aside, it's and that's the beautiful thing about the rivalries in British boxing, and you see it all the way through to world title fights. The UK is special, and having promoted all over the world, it's the most special place when you look at the boxing community, because yes, they're those rivalries, and yes, they boil into bad blood. I mean, I've been involved in a few bad blood fights over the years, but afterwards it generally gets settled in the ring, and that's not fake. That's just the way it is. It's beef, and that beef gets settled, and then there's a big hug afterwards, and sometimes we do it again. So I'm looking very forward to this one.
No, absolutely. The viewers on Channel 5 and everybody who's bought a ticket are in for a real treat. And Calla, you've talked about it brilliantly there, but there's just something about a British title fight. We saw it with Liam Dillon against Kez Ashfaq on our Newcastle show. There's just something that just gets sprinkled into the ring on these nights when there's a vacant British title on the line. Everybody steps up. They just seem to have found an extra 10%, and they go through pain barriers you maybe didn't think they had, and they walk through all sorts of shots because it means so much to get that Lonsdale belt.
But strip out the money in the sport. When you retire and you tell your grandkids one day, once you've won that British title, you can, I'm not saying you should retire, but you can, whatever happens after that, you've done it. You've done it.
Your name's down in the history books.
Down in the history books. But I don't want to sound too much like a second-hand car salesman here, but the difference when you do it on free-to-air television, and by the way, we're working this weekend also with Sky, we work with DAZN, we work with everyone, but free-to-air television gives both gladiators up here today that extra drive, I believe, in training, knowing that you're going to get millions watching you on television, and that's something that I think that for me is the most special part of promoting, is when you can get it out there to a massive audience on free-to-air. That just adds that sprinkle on top.
Absolutely true, and as you say, you become household name as well as British champion. That's a possibility, of course, for both these guys. So before we pose for face-to-face pictures, it's predictions time. Mason, come to you first. Give me a prediction for the fight on Friday night.
I win by any means necessary. I'll box and I'll do what I need to do when I'm in there. We all have to adjust over the course of the 12 rounds, and I'll adjust where it's needed, and I'll win.
Sam, Mason, very confident. What's your prediction?
I win by any means necessary.
Swap to a cage, I think.
No, we're going in there for the win. like I said, I don't see any version of the future without me holding that British belt. I have to come away with this belt. And everything's riding on it right now.
Amazing. Really excited for this fight. It truly could be an absolute show stealer. It could be fight of the year. Don't miss it, live on Channel 5 on Friday night. Sam, Mason, thank you very much. We'll pose for face-to-face pictures with Calla. Thanks, guys. Okay, this is the main event. Great fight, another great fight, as we keep saying. A real treat for fans watching live and free to air on Channel 5 on Friday, and the guys who are inside the arena. This is the world awaits. Huge opportunities for the winner, huge fights there domestically and internationally. Of course, Calla, we hoped this fight had taken place in March. Obviously, events took over and we had to rearrange. Lyndon made it crystal clear to you, didn't he? This was the fight he wanted. This was the chance he wanted. He wanted that IBO world title opportunity.
Absolutely, and I think Lyndon was gutted. We were gutted as promoters, and Mr. Suarez was gutted as well. So it was a tough blow to take at the time. But hey, let's not cry over spilled milk. Here we are. Lyndon has the opportunity here to really propel himself. Onto world championship status. That belt is a bargaining chip for massive international fights. He's got an extremely tough opponent, vacant belt. Looking at the odds on the way up here, it's going to be a tough night. We know that. We know this man can really punch. 17 knockouts out of 18. Don't need to do the percentages on that. It's a fight that Lyndon, I think, has earned. He's put the hours in. He's done the fights. We've all seen the best of Lyndon. We know that Lyndon sometimes needs to take a round or two to get into the zone. I'm expecting that to come very quickly on Friday night, though. Got him some extra Red Bull, give him some wings. But no, Lyndon is someone, when he's on fire, I believe is the best light heavyweight on the planet. That's no bullshit. That's just the way it is. That's the way I see it, and that's what we believe in. That's why we've fought so hard to get this opportunity. But at the same time, much respect to his opponent. I remember when we had to tell him the news last time. It wasn't easy. But anyways, we're here now, and I'm looking forward to a great fight. And again, like I said before, the magic is that a heroic performance on Friday will be seen by so many people, by millions, and that's something that you can do fights elsewhere and take 3-4 fights to get to where Lyndon has the opportunity to get to on Friday night, and same with Suarez. So it's a real massive carrot out there on Friday night.
And Calla, indulge us, if you will, with a bit of fancy matchmaking. We like this. Obviously, nobody's looking too far past this fight. Great fight on paper. It's going to deliver, we know, for the audience on Channel 5. But give us an idea of some of the names that could be out there.
Whoever wins it, I'm not going to listen. I'm sitting up here, obviously, is my man, but I'm not going to. I've got to talk about it. Like whoever wins, this belt. The broadcasters work off belts. Boxing works off belts. So, yes, it's the 5th belt out of the organisations, but at the same time, it's a huge bargaining tool. You look at the likes of Smith and Baturbiev happening. You look at the likes of some of the domestic fights happening. It's a division that's really exciting. I think that you look at that fight. Boatsi Aziz. We've spoken to them before. There was an offer made from both sides. That fight, Lyndon, at the end didn't happen. Lyndon was well up for it, but unfortunately couldn't make it happen at the time. It's something that, of course, that would be revisited. But at the same time, I'm not going to look past Friday. I think there's so many good names I could go dangle out there, and I'm sure some of you can go and do that, but I'll wait till after the fight.
Braian, welcome back to Bolton. Just tell us how difficult it was in March when the fight was cancelled.
¿Cómo fue de difícil cuando se canceló la última pelea para ti?
No, sí, bueno, buenas tardes. Fue muy difícil, la verdad que me sentí muy mal anímicamente, pero bueno, hubo que dar vuelta a la página rápido, mentalizarme en poder tener la oportunidad nuevamente y bueno, ahora se dio y muy contento por esta oportunidad.
I was really bad. My mental health wasn't good when I heard the news that the fight wasn't gonna happen, but I quickly went to the next chapter and focus on the fight that's happening now.
Braian, on that night, Lyndon fought a replacement fighter, Boris Crichton, knocked him down in the 10th round and won on points. What did you think of his performance?
¿Qué opinas de la última vez que peleó Lyndon cuando tú no peleaste?
Bueno, creo que fue una gran pelea, ¿no? Una pelea difícil para él porque obviamente que te cambien el rival de un día para el otro no debe ser fácil, pero bueno, hizo las cosas bien y se llevó una buena victoria.
I think he did a great job. I think he had a tough job when you get a late notice replacement. It's never easy, but yeah, he did a great job on that fight.
Braian, obviously the IBO title is right in front of you, but what fights are you dreaming of if you beat Lyndon?
¿Con qué pelea sueñas si le ganas a Lyndon el viernes?
No, yo voy paso a paso. Primero tengo este compromiso el viernes, trataré de llevarme la victoria, dejando todo arriba del ring y después se verá.
I go step by step. Now I'm focused on Lyndon, and after we'll see.
Lyndon, talk us through how difficult it is to deal with a late replacement. All of your focus for weeks and weeks had been on Suarez, and then the day before the opponent changes. You've got to go in the ring with somebody different style, still under the lights, still in the spotlight, live on Channel 5. Talk me through how difficult that is.
Yeah, not so much difficult, it's just a bit deflating. Pat was telling me, Lyndon, stay switched on stage. I'm telling him, yeah, I'm switched on, but really it was, you know, I get to fight someone that I've been sparring with, I was familiar with. It's just, you kind of go through the motions in the fight, but I got the job done and we're here now, so.
How's training?
By the way, when Pat tells you to stay switched on, you stay switched on.
You're definitely telling you are, anyway.
But as we said at the top, Lyndon, you got out the ring, did your interview, and it was clear you wanted this fight. This was still the opportunity. It was right at the forefront of your thinking. There was no other thought in your mind. You wanted to get the IBO shot back on the agenda, didn't you?
Yeah, obviously when you go from training for that fight and then last minute literally, I took my boxes off on the scales actually to make weight, and then I got to find out that we wasn't fighting, so it was a bit deflating, like I said, disappointing, but now we're here, so.
Obviously, in training camp, I'm sure you're looking great, so you're feeling great, but tell the audience and tell people watching this on Wasserman's social channels later today, you've had a rather special pep talk, a special pre-fight pick-me-up from none other than Roy Jones Jr. this week.
Yeah, I know Roy. Me and Roy like this now. No, yeah, we did a Zoom call the other day, and it was just good. Obviously, like I say, when I first started watching boxing, he was the person I watched a lot. So to be able to speak to him and have a bit of a one-to-one conversation, it was good.
Any pearls of wisdom from Roy? What's the sort of big piece of advice he gave you?
Just be entertaining. Just everything he was saying, I was listening to. So.
Calla said you might need a couple of rounds to warm in, or we're going to see a Lyndon straight out the blocks on.
He's going to get me some Red Bull.
Suarez, of course, and we spoke about this back in March, Lyndon, and big puncher on paper, 17 knockouts. So do you have to be wary, or do you have to diffuse that power?
Well, I'm scared of Cody, you know. Cody's put it out. But no, yeah, Suarez is a respectable puncher. The knockouts speak for itself. It's hard to knock people out regardless of who the opponents are. So I have to be on my A game.
And I know you don't look past this fight, and you can't look past Suarez. The IBO, you know, we've seen recently some huge fights and some upsets as well with this belt. But you must allow yourself to think and dream about what could happen. You know, the world awaits is what this show's called, and it really does open the doors, doesn't it?
It does, but cliche. But obviously, I have to focus on Suarez and get that job done before I can look. If I don't get that job done, then it's pointless even thinking or talking about them kind of fights. There.
Calla, you mentioned there that Lyndon, on his day, one of the best, if not the best, light heavyweights in the world. And I think people would look at Lyndon and go, he's got a world-class jab, but he's more than that, isn't he?
He's got the all-round game. It's not, world-class jab is fantastic, but if you haven't got a right or a left to follow it up, then it's just a jab, isn't it? So he's got it all. When he's on, he's on. And Pat is someone who I've got a lot of respect for. Proper boxing fella. And
Did you ever do that?
yeah, I tore my, and I actually did tear my ass. I've got doctors now. Pat, I'm training again though. Give me 2 months. But the first defense we'll have it. But no, you go down that gym and you smell boxing. So I know he's got a lot of superstar friends, and he looks like a superstar himself always. But go to his gym and then you see the real Lyndon, yeah. And then it's it's a dynamic between the two of them that I love. Every time I get in the ring after a fight, I never know what's going to happen between them. Whether one's angry or the other one's angry, but so in fact, Pat's mostly the one who's angry. But it's. You see the from an early stage in his career, long before he joined us, you can see that he's a hugely talented fighter, and it's I think the channeling of that into the focus and bringing out of all of his tools, and when that happens, and I think he's also a big occasion fighter. That's quite magical. So I'm hoping for a bit of magic on Friday night. I'm sure I'm going to get it.
Well, this is a big occasion, and Lyndon also, we should mention, support from Manchester United last week as well, and not only Roy Jones, the football club, the big football club in this city, of course, giving you their support and inviting you down to Old Trafford.
Yeah, that was good. I was tempted to run and slide on the pitch, but I was told not to because the people get sacked, or I had to humble myself. But yeah, it was great. It was good to be around the arena and stuff.
Great stuff. So we'll before we do face-off pictures with the bell, let's get final predictions for Friday night's headline fight live on Channel 5, vacant IBO World Light Heavyweight title. Braian, what is your prediction for the fight?
¿Cómo crees que va a acabar la pelea?
Bueno, yo vine, como dije la vez anterior, no vine acá de paseo, vine a ganar, así que el viernes voy a buscar la victoria.
I'm gonna win. Like I said last time, I don't mind how I win or on points or by KO. I just want to win.
Lyndon, same to you. What's your prediction for the fight?
The best me goes in this fight and wins every time. So victorious regardless.
So we can't wait. Of course, those odds that Callum mentioned, you can find those on Ladbrokes, of course, if you want to bet, but please bet responsibly. But of course, the main event on Friday night, the vacant IBO Light Heavyweight World title, will now pose for face-off pictures head-to-head, and we'll get the belt as well. Thanks very much.